Good evening, folks, and welcome to another edition of An Hour with Bob. Here we are on this beautiful, beautiful April. Finally, we got spring weather, nice weather. It's 60 degrees. I hope you had a good Easter. I had a great Easter dinner. Went down to a friend's house in Warwick, down near the water. Beautiful time. Great food, great food. Great quiche, by the way. And Italian ham. Whoever has Italian ham. Anyway, no, we had ham. It was great ham. Anyway, we'll get to my friends tonight. I had to bring them back. I told you I was bringing them back. I didn't have enough time to spend with them last time. My good friend, I didn't realize I knew him as long as I did. 37 years, Dr. and Toby Simon are with us. Peter Simon and Toby, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Nice to see you. And we got an add-on here. We had to bring the boss tonight.
I got it, the better looking one.
The better looking one. Now, I said that, I was shocked.
Yeah,
when we discussed it, and we found out that we knew each other 37 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Woodlawn Little League.
Woodlawn Little League.
We're introduced, yeah.
That's right.
Yes,
That's
and
right.
Aaron, our son Aaron was.
Did you sponsor a team?
Yes, I
Yes,
did.
you
But
did.
I also I coached and
he was
managed
on the
team for
board.
decades,
Yeah,
and I was
yeah.
vice president also.
He coached Dupas before I got there.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I went to the senior league when you went to the little
That's
league.
exactly right.
And you coached Venturini's. Didn't you coach Venturini?
No, it was Dupas.
No, in the minor league.
Venturini.
I never made. Was it Venturini?
Yes, you
Yeah,
did.
yeah, exactly.
Yes,
Yeah,
you did.
right.
That's how exactly. I actually remember the first time I met you. You come in my sliding glass door in
Yes.
my house. Now that I thought about it, you come barging in my sliding door in the back of my house with your baseball Venturini hat on.
That's right. That's right.
All right.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, she didn't.
Yeah, that's right.
She didn't. So we're talking about a serious topic here.
Right.
We're talking about, I told you that I'm a chronic pain sufferer.
Yeah, right.
And we've talked about this extensively. And you having been with the health department for decades, right? You were with them for a little while. Huh?
Long time.
Long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you
I
retired?
started in the 70s.
Did you really?
Yeah, 77.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, let me I'll get this out right away. I can't believe you've been married how many years?
45 years.
45 years.
Yeah.
How'd you do it?
Oh,
How'd you do it?
One day at a time, Bob.
Yeah, exactly. No, 45.
Like
you know,
the
he's a likable
alcoholics.
guy. He's an easy guy. Yeah, what?
like the alcoholics.
Like the alcoholic.
One day at a time.
One day at a time.
Yeah.
But that's not a question here. That's not a case here. But what we do have is the problem is epidemic in Rhode Island with people overdosing on narcotics.
Yeah.
And there are different reasons for that.
85 deaths so far this year.
Just this year.
Just so far this year,
4
yeah.
months.
And there are different reasons for it. Some say the reason is because people are not getting, people with chronic pain sufferers like myself, they cut off the pain medication,
Right.
and I can include myself in that.
Right.
And you know, some of us can handle it better than others, and I can understand why some people
Right.
can't handle
Exactly.
it. I happen to be able to handle it a little better than
But
most
if you
people.
can't,
But if they
yeah,
can't,
they're going to
they
or
go to
stuff that
other drugs. They go to street
Well,
drugs.
and until recently, it hasn't been very easy to find any help.
Right.
Yeah.
Still ain't easy. I still haven't found any help.
Well, but there's starting to be some attention paid to it because we got the governor interested in it, and now
Well, look what happened. You and I talked about this other drug, this drug that supposedly was going
Yeah.
to be helpful. And before we even got a chance to deal with it, Massachusetts, the governor of Massachusetts already
said,
X'd it.
we don't want it. Yeah. Well, it's in the courts now, but
Right.
yeah.
But you know, all over New England, I work at a college, and I was
Right, you work at Bryant, right?
At Bryant, and I was talking to a group of freshmen today, and I said, you know, how many of you know about the heroin epidemic and what's going on? And a lot of the kids from Bryant are from New England, and a bunch of them raised their hand and said, my high school had 3 deaths, in 1 month.
In one high school?
Yeah, and one kid was from New Hampshire. He was talking about what's going on in New Hampshire, which is also at epidemic proportions, right?
All over the region. It's all over the country.
It's bad, and
In some areas of the country, like you get into Wisconsin or you get into North Dakota, South Dakota, they got a meth problem,
Yeah.
huge meth problem.
Right.
And we don't want to talk about it. We want to talk about, in colleges anyway, in high schools, we want to talk about drinking, because
Right.
that feels safer to talk about alcohol. But, colleges certainly have to step up and start talking seriously about heroin.
Now, what is it?
and
Is it a combination of experimentation with the college kid, or is it weakness, or is it both? Is it what is it? What is the reason for it?
Well, substances like alcohol are worshipped in our culture.
Right.
So alcohol is used by people in power all the time. You can't go to a fundraiser
Without a drink.
Without a drink.
But I've been
somebody
doing it
giving
for
you a
30
drink.
years.
But I'm just saying, Bob, that kids see that.
Right,
And
I
they
understand
see
that. I
that's
understand that.
part of the becoming an adult and having power.
Right.
To
So
be
you
able
gotta
to
have the
drink.
drink. You gotta have the
Right,
drink
so
in
it's
the hand.
attractive, right? And then it's a normal thing for kids to experiment. They try to behave like adults when they're little kids, and
Right.
that's how they learn how to smoke, and that's why they learn how to drink beer. And when I was a kid growing up at 11, they were drinking beer under the tennis club down in Oak Hill
Really?
at 11, 12.
On
Yeah.
Sheffield Street.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So it's nothing new, and once kids see this as attractive, and they're going to experiment with it, some of them are going to get into trouble with it.
Right.
Right.
And it runs in families, and some of it's social, some of it's environmental, some of it's genetic. It's complicated.
And it gets complicated further by kids who have some significant trauma that they're dealing with.
Right.
Something horrible that happened to them as kids. I talk to college kids, and and so many of them, half a class of say 30 will have known a kid who died in high school, a good friend
Right.
who died in a traffic crash or an overdose.
Right.
And so that kind of pain that these kids are feeling at such a young age, and if it gets repeated, the only thing that you turn to is some way to numb the pain.
See,
I mean-
I disagree with that. I think.
Well, I'm not saying it's good. I'm just
no,
saying.
I think it. I
yeah.
really do. I don't know. I think it's a bit of a cop out for these kids. They use that as an excuse in many cases. Not all cases,
Right,
but
but
in some
initially it
I
makes
mean,
them
if
feel
it
bad.
happens to you, it happens to your family. It's one thing. But
Right.
some kid down the street died or something. Gee, you feel bad and whatever. But you don't go to heroin because somebody died down the street.
No, it's not.
No, but
it's not
it's-
so much your reaction to somebody else's
No, it's your own inner
loss.
pain
If
that
you're
you're
in
feeling.
pain, because our brains are set up in some ways to be vulnerable to these kinds of trauma. So you don't necessarily have to have a surgical procedure on your brain.
Right.
It can be an emotional trauma.
Right.
And with that pain, sometimes alcohol or drugs do and make it feel better.
Right.
So they
But-
work.
It
But they
numbs it.
should realize, and I don't get it why they don't realize that
Because they're
alcohol.
adolescents. They're adolescents. Okay.
well,
their
they-
brains are not fully
Right,
developed
right.
to begin
Well,
with.
but they think they're smart, right?
They think they're going to live forever,
they
and
think
nothing
they're
of this,
gonna- and-
Right,
none
this-
of that's going to happen to them.
That's
right,
true,
Bad
that's
stuff
true.
happens to other people.
They're invincible.
Right.
That's
So-
what adolescence is about.
Right, right.
So they get into trouble, and they feel better when they're doing drugs.
Right.
But
They-
the thing of it is, with as we all know, as
and
you
the
get
social
older,
thing
you
too,
know,
Bob.
I know. Everybody drinks. They're binge drinking
Well, yeah,
in
but the
college,
thing is-
especially in college.
College. For
It's
sure.
important for kids to feel like they're accepted,
Right.
like they're valued. When we were growing up, Bob, somebody called you mental. What'd you do?
Probably hit them.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're feeling isolated
Right.
by your peer group, you got to have a way to feel connected somehow. So drugs do that. They give you a community. If you talk to addicts about
that's-
why they do drugs, a lot of it has so much to do.
They
not
want
so-
to fit in.
Well,
it's
and
about
actually-
it's about being part of a community.
AA actually, people tout AA as a very successful treatment program for alcoholics, but the fact is that about 5% of people who go to AA are actually helped by AA and never relapse.
Cut it
Only
out.
5%.
Only 5%?
And the reason it works is because of this
Community.
community
They
that
all
it
stay
creates,
together,
the
right,
brotherhood,
right.
whatever it is.
They get something
And
that
that's-
satisfies their need
they go back for
without
that.
having to do drugs.
Right.
Right, but that's a very small percentage of
I
people.
can't believe it's that low.
It's-
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
just
it's not-
recent. A guy just wrote a book about it and
Yeah.
kind of exposed it because people
Well,
do
that's
think of it
sad.
as highly, highly effective, but the fact is it's not because it doesn't really go to the pain stuff. You go to an AA meeting, I've been to them, I've observed them, and people say, hi, I'm Toby and I'm an alcoholic, and they, nobody gets to the deeper stuff. Nobody sort of goes and says to people, let's talk about what's really hurting you.
Right.
They don't do that in AA. It's all kind of superficial, and so that's why they're not as successful, because they are creating a community, which is good, but it's not good enough for a lot of people.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that low. My God, that's a shocker to me, and I'm sure that's a shocker to half the viewers out there. It's only 5%. So what's the answer? Where do they go?
Well, the answer is that you do need. One, you have to get past the denial. I mean, again, this morning I was talking to students about this. I said, you ever have any friends who were really in trouble with alcohol, and what made them stop, and how did, they talked about bottoming out, and I said, well, what was it? And they said, well, somebody ended up in a hospital, practically dead from, a car crash or something.
But they don't all get out just because they end up, some of them do that again and again and again.
But you got to work at it, because, it's a disease of denial, and so everybody, kids, if somebody said to you, you have a problem with drinking, you're going to be defensive and say, no, I don't, and so you have to get beyond the denial, and you have to work hard. Therapy is not easy. It's an education for you, but it's work. You gotta decide that it's worth the work that you have to put into it, and figure out what's ailing me and how do I talk about what's really bothering me. It's harder for men. Women are much more equipped and more comfortable with these personal conversations. We have like 25 a day, or 25 an hour maybe, intimate conversations, and men can go weeks without it.
Without having an intimate conversation with anybody.
So some of it just comes back down to how we equip our kids with emotional and social skills, and the things that we hope parents are teaching their kids early on. It's most of this stuff, if you don't have it by 5 years old, it's it's not going to happen.
But what do we got now? We got families now. The percentage of broken up families is higher than the percentage of two-parent families. I think certainly around here, what I see.
Yeah, the old two-parent family is
you don't see
a
that
minority.
anymore.
It's less than 20%.
But I think single
crazy.
families single-parent families certainly are enough and are equipped to raise a kid who's emotionally intelligent, who's in touch with his or her feelings, who can express himself, who's not turning to drugs. I think it really is more about who those two people are, because two-parent families that are messed up.
And we know what to do. I mean, we know the competencies are for kids to learn, and we know how to teach it. So it's just a question of getting people the support to actually learn how kids need to be trained. You were trained.
Like I was trained.
Somebody trained you, right?
I trained myself.
Well,
as
I learned a lot. I learned a lot of things that I didn't know about. Having support and close personal support with another person after I got married.
Well, I had,
because I didn't know it.
I didn't have any help. But my father died when I was 7 years old.
Yeah.
And we didn't have there was no other father that came in. There's no father figure in my life when I was a kid.
Well, somebody
that
helped
explains you, huh?
That explains me. Yeah. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I am
but
absolutely wrong.
There were coaches.
No, I am
there were
absolutely.
teachers.
I take
there
it
were
back.
Cops.
I take it back. No, there's a pharmacist. Walter Frigo was his name.
Okay.
And there was a lawyer, John McBurney Sr. Those two gentlemen
And
helped
that's
me
all you
out
need.
immensely.
That's all you need.
One
You need
adult,
one
healthy
adult.
is really
makes a huge
all the kids need.
Yeah.
And and
Speaking of healthy,
yeah.
we got a band here. They healthy over here? What a lead in. The black Cadillac Trio. Huh?
That's it.
You guys look familiar though. You look like you come from other
We've been
places.
here once or twice.
You have, yeah.
Under the guise of Detroit Breakdown.
This is part of the Detroit Breakdown.
No, it's a separate project, but Rich and I started this with Danny in the back.
Danny in the back. Hi, Danny in the back.
drums.
Under Bob. He's under Bob.
Under the Bob is the Dan.
Under the Bob. By the way, do you see that Bob insignia there? You know who copied that? Bob Furniture.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Bob's Furniture.
Bob's Furniture copied that. All right, what do you got for us?
We've got a couple of original songs for you.
You do.
Yes, sir.
And I understand you got a gig coming the July 3rd. You're the main
That's
man.
true. With Detroit Breakdown, we are playing the big night, July 3rd at Independence Park.
Nice.
For the Bristol Celebrates.
Cool.
Yes, sir.
Cool. All right, well, give us a song.
You got it.
to love you. I find it hard to care. If you don't quite read me, baby, try to make it clear. I live my life on the stage, living for the sting. Told you that I love you, but it's just my thing. Is it real or a picture that enters in my brain? Because it always seems to end up in my face. Hey, yeah. Still I need to have you beside me in my bed. Treat you just the same now, baby. Hear what I said. All we need is one night. Wouldn't need to mean a thing. You told me that you love me, but won't you let me know if it is real or a picture that enters in my brain? Because it always seems to blow up my face. Hey, yeah. I find it hard to love you. I find it hard to care. If you don't quite read me, baby, I need to make it clear. Live my life every night, pounding on a stage. You might think I love it, but it's just another cage. Is it real or a picture that enters in my brain? Because it always seems to end up in my face. Hey, yeah. Hey, yeah.
Mother and father broke up. Hey, all right. Black Cadillac Trio. Trio. 3 + 1 over there. Who's that guy over there? Who's the sound guy?
That's Dave Golden Ears.
Dave
the sound
Golden
man.
Ears, the sound man. Huh? The Golden Ears sound man. He does a good job. Huh?
Yeah, oh yeah, he works with us with Detroit as well.
I know he does.
All right.
That's why I had to throw that in there.
You got it.
All right, Dave? Huh? He paid me well. Anyway, we're back. We're back with Toby and Dr. Peter Simon. So, what's the answer? We're talking about abuse. We're talking about abusing drugs, abusing alcohol, abusing whatever, I guess.
So-
And you're saying that it all comes down to how it happened, why it happened, and it's usually what?
I think those are the right questions. If we really want to understand what we can do to prevent addiction,
Well, let's
we gotta
backtrack.
Get,
Let's
we got to
backtrack
get
a
beyond,
second
the.
Because we started this conversation about the 80 or so
Deaths.
85
already,
deaths already this year.
suicide deaths.
Yeah.
And I mentioned to you off
I
camera.
don't know if they're suicide. They're overdoses.
Overdose.
I don't think people intended to kill
No.
themselves.
Oh,
You don't really know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the way I got it. Not from you, but that's not the way I've heard. That's not the way the papers play it up. They're saying, some of them are saying, they're saying.
I think it's hard to know.
Well, if it
unless
was
you-
suicide, then the medical examiner would call it a suicide,
Right.
not an overdose.
Right.
Yeah.
So these are all,
Well, an overdose could be a suicide, couldn't it?
well, but if there's no note, there's a whole set of criteria that the medical examiner uses to determine a cause of death.
Right.
So if there's no note and there's no evidence of a suicide,
They call it a
they're not
death.
going to call it a suicide. They're going to call it death by, overdose from
Right.
drugs.
Well, by the way, we go back to, I don't know if you realize this, but I go back, I started this conversation about because of chronic pain, which
Right,
I deal
right,
with every
right,
day,
right.
and I'm on the short end of the stick because all these overdoses, they're afraid to give anybody any medication, and I'm
right.
put in that category.
Right.
And ironically, my doctor committed suicide,
Wow.
hung himself
Wow.
last April, April 14th last year, hung himself.
Well, mental health, we do not want to talk about in this. We don't want to talk publicly about mental health. We have all sorts of sympathy and interest and concern for people who have a broken leg
Right.
and broken arms.
Right.
But boy, when people start telling you that they're really in a dark place and
Yeah.
they're thinking about ending their life, we do not want to go there.
That's scary.
And there's
I
a
mean,
stigma.
I remember off camera we talked about. I had a kid that played baseball for me. He was a great ball player too. He was my center fielder. They found him dead he hung himself in his closet,
Yeah.
and I think it was over his parents divorcing. I think that's what was
Well,
going on in his life anyway.
doctors and mental health people who do work with, in particular, women who are addicted to drugs, really, really high percentage of those women have had a history of being sexually abused as kids
Abused,
or
yeah.
sexually assaulted. And, you really can mess someone up for good by taking that right.
Taking advantage of a child.
Well, or
especially,
taking the
right?
right away, the right to say, yeah, I want to do this or don't want to do that. I mean,
I
to
remember
abuse
a
it.
few years ago there was a child who was was abused and died, who had been at Hasbro Children's Hospital, and they missed it. And they hired a world-renowned expert in child abuse to come to Rhode Island to help sort of train staff and do a better job of identifying abuse and neglect in kids. And this woman, Carol, what's her last name?
Janie.
Has worked all over the world, and after a few years, she published the results of the work that they were doing in Rhode Island. And she said she's never been any place like Rhode Island. We don't beat up our kids, we have sex with them.
Cut it out.
That's what she said. It's in the Providence Journal. She was actually quoted as saying that the pattern of abuse
Right.
in Rhode Island is sexual, not violence
Wait a
against
minute.
kids.
Why is she singling out Rhode Island?
Because she
there's-
never saw it anywhere else in
Yeah.
the world.
And if you look at the data on a place like in a town like Woonsocket, high percentage of reported incest when people ask the questions. So,
Not only Woonsocket.
but Woonsocket's one example. That's all over the
Rhode
place.
Island.
But nobody wants
Not to
go
stigmatize
there.
any particular community.
Wow.
But it's-
Yeah.
This is her. She's
Yeah.
a world-renowned
Right.
researcher in child abuse, and that's what her conclusion.
But how
was.
long was she here to establish that?
Years.
She was
Yeah.
in Rhode Island for that?
About 5 to 10 years.
Oh,
she was
all right.
here.
She didn't just come
No,
through
she
and say,
came and she
this
stayed and
happened
she
in
set
Rhode
up
Island.
her training program, and she did what community wanted her to do and make sure that kids at Hasbro were not going to get missed again. But she trained a whole generation of pediatricians specialized in child abuse and neglect, and her research was what she was basically talking about.
Wow. And did she say why it's so high in Rhode Island versus other places?
No, I don't know why. I don't think anybody can. How would you answer that question? Why is it? I don't know. But it's true, and we have to deal with it. We got to talk about it. And as I think Toby says, it's not an easy thing to talk about in public. It's stigmatizing. God forbid, people think that Woonsocket's got a problem. It's not just Woonsocket.
I mean, it's probably
It's all over.
everywhere. Yeah.
And you say that most women that are
80% of women who are
Addicted
addicted
have a history
have
of
a
sexual
history of abuse.
either sexual abuse,
Sexual abuse.
Yeah.
sexual
over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Not
Repeated
just
sexual abuse. So they were raped as children, maybe, and they were raped as teenagers, and then they were raped again, and
they
then
get into relationships that are abusive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So we, stop
This
rape.
is not easy to talk about.
Stop rape and incest would be one way to curtail some of the numbers. There are cultures and societies that don't have any of these problems, but it's not here. Not in.
Holy cow! Thanks for making my night.
Sorry, but
But there's, again, that's why I was saying that there's all kinds of different pain. that people
Right.
are
There's physical pain
seeking-
and there's mental
are
pain.
seeking
and-
relief
yes,
from.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and
I-
again, people who, as children, experience things like that often grow up thinking it was them.
Right.
That-
Oh yeah, that's
that,
that. We
you know,
all.
they-
I think.
I can
right.
tell you that every time in a college setting, every time I ever talk about sexual assault with a group of students, no matter, from 14 students to 500 students, almost all the time somebody contacts me afterwards to say, I was sexually assaulted, or I just came to realize that over the course of 2 summers, my cousin was inappropriately touching me, and so it's really common, and no one's ever asked. Doctors for a long time never even asked that question about incest because they were afraid to probably get the answer because
and they didn't know what to do about it.
they didn't
when
know what to do.
people
When,
Right. Yeah. What are you going to do besides?
and you got 15 minutes to talk to a
Well,
patient.
there are
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
right now. Yeah.
Well, and you
If
get the
that.
scary part too that
Yeah.
somebody could be not telling the truth too.
Well,
For the most part, children don't make this stuff up.
Right. No, I agree with
And-
that. But
and,
there are
uh,
instances
yeah, there
where,
are,
where
so you have-
people have gone
right.
down that road
Yes.
and accused somebody of something that didn't happen.
But false reports of sexual assault are
They do
really
happen,
low.
but they're
It happens,
over-
but
it's
it's low. It's
over-reported.
over-reported when it does happen. Yeah.
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 So you now what is your function at?
I am the director of the Hochberg Women's Center, and I also teach a human sexuality course. So, anytime you.
Oh, you're
wanna-
still doing that? huh?
Yeah.
I'm still doing
You're
that.
still doing that?
I am. Now
That's
I-
why I wanted to ask you. I didn't want to say it because I knew that's what you used to do.
So, did you know that? Would you like a little sex factoid?
a little what?
A sex fact that might be helpful for you
Go
to
ahead.
know. Okay. So the helmet.
I need some
The
sex facts.
hockey helmet was invented in 1814, and 100 years later they invented the testicular shield, to protect men when they're
Right.
playing hockey.
Right.
Cup.
The
The
cup.
cup. We call
the
it a
cup.
cup.
The
Yeah.
cup. It took men 100 years to figure out that this part of their body was as important as this part. Okay.
Whoa! Hello.
Oh wait, maybe I got that. Was that the reverse? Was it the other way around?
Yeah, but wait a minute now.
I think
No,
It's the
shield-
head.
The head came last.
Last, yeah.
So the cup was
They
first.
invented the cup
and then the
first.
I was
helmet.
going to say
Yeah,
that because
yeah,
they only
yeah.
started using the helmets.
exactly.
and
100
the
years
days
after
of,
the cup.
100 years
in-
after the cup.
in the
they
days of
invent- yeah.
Bobby Orr, because I
Yeah, yeah,
remember when they
yeah.
started.
Yeah.
Derek
No, no, no.
Sanderson was the first guy I ever saw wear a
Yeah.
helmet.
Yeah, but it was 100 years after
After
they
the
invented
cup.
the cup. Yeah.
Right.
So you're saying guys
Toby said-
always
It took them
thought
100
with
years
the
to figure out
right.
that,
In
that
other words,
their
guys
head was
always
as
thought with
important as
the
their.
But
whatever.
why did it take 400 years to put wheels on suitcases? I never could figure that out. Why did it take so long?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I dare not ask. I dare not ask.
That's another topic.
Now you said that the EDCs sent a group up here.
Center-
CDC. the
CDC,
Center-
I'm sorry,
Yeah, the
CDC.
state health officer requested an investigation into this epidemic of deaths. So there's a whole crew of young, what they call EIS, Epidemiologic Investigation Service, EIS officers in
Right.
Rhode Island, sleuths, medical sleuths, they're trying to figure out, so why are we having so many of these
What was that
events?
show,
Huh?
what was that show on TV with the actor you loved who died?
Quincy?
Quincy.
Yeah,
You
well,
remember
that was
Quincy,
more.
oh,
He was a
like
medical
that job.
examiner.
Yeah.
These guys are medical
Jack
detectives. Yeah, Klugman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Klugman.
Yeah. He was one of the reasons why.
Your wife's favorite show?
Yeah. That's why I
That was
always
John
went
Flanagan,
into
my
medical.
director, chiming in.
becoming a
He
medical
had to get
examiner.
his 2 cents in there. My wife's favorite show. God.
I was actually thinking about doing training as a medical examiner until as a medical student, I got a job as a diener. They're the ones that actually do the autopsy.
Oh, God.
And they called me in to do one. Medical examiner in Onondaga County called me in a body they had pulled out of the river.
Oh, that's always
And that
fun.
was it. After that, I said,
We
there's
pulled
got to be
the-
a better way to make it work.
Were you down there at the Woodlawn Little League down at Max Reed Field? My son
I
and
remember
his
there was a-
friends were at
yeah,
the
there was a
water.
body, yeah.
He started poking it. He thought it was a dummy in the water. They were poking it with a branch.
I remember
We
that.
pulled it to the
Yeah,
shore.
I remember
and
that.
It was a
Yeah,
guy who had been in the
yeah.
water all blown up.
Yeah. So that was it when I got one of those.
Oh, my God.
We call them floaters.
Floaters,
Yeah.
huh? Yeah, because they go down and then after a
They
few
blow
days
up.
they blow up and they
Because
come
the
back
bacteria produce gas, in the body,
You're
and that's
full of
why
all
they come
good
back
things
up
tonight,
again.
huh? You're fu-
You
And
pick
he's
up
hungry.
these things.
He's hungry, and he's talking.
and he's hungry and he's
Yeah.
talking like that.
Exactly.
Huh?
Can
And
you
you go out and eat after that,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's amazing what you can get used to. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yep.
It's nice, though, to be married to a doctor.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. I never thought about being married to a doctor. Unless you got a good-looking female doctor around that I might be interested in.
Okay, keep that in mind.
Keep that in mind.
We'll
If you can
keep you on
find
the
one
list.
for me.
We'll keep you on the list.
Put me on the list.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what else? You got 2 more minutes. Give me something good. Give me another fact. You got
Well,
a good fact?
you know, the other data that you're not hearing about yet are the babies being born in Rhode Island who
That
are-
addicted
who are
babies.
Yeah.
Right.
That's scary.
And I'm going to send.
Very scary.
When I asked for the I know that there's been an analysis going on at the health department to look at that because those numbers are going up too.
Right.
Right. You would think, you would expect that if we're seeing more and more addiction, we're going to see more and more moms with addiction problems having babies who are what they call having neonatal abstinence, so they get sick from withdrawal.
Right.
As newborns. So I'll send you that stuff
Yeah,
and we'll
it's
talk
bad.
about that.
It's bad enough that you got women smoking when they're pregnant.
Yeah, though that's.
But now if they're taking drugs when they're pregnant, that's
It's easy,
100
you know.
times worse, right?
Well, it's easier to talk about smoking than it is about,
Yeah.
kids, babies born with addiction to opioids. But, smoking has a public health impact
Right.
on what happens to our entire community, much greater than the problem with opiates.
Right. Now, on that note, on that track, smoking, secondhand smoke is bad for everybody's
Right.
established that. Somebody asked me about the was it hookahs? Is that hookah?
Hookah.
Hookah.
The hookah bars?
Hookah bars,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is that stuff bad for you?
Sure.
It's bad for people that are next to you, secondhand
Exposed
smoke.
smoke, sure.
Really?
Yeah.
They're very popular,
I know they are.
and they're
and I
in certain
first
parts
saw
of the
them.
world, they're all over the
I
place.
saw them
yeah.
in Morocco for the
Yeah,
very first time.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
had
well,
never
they're-
seen them here.
you know, they're,
that was
uh,
20 years ago, though.
They're
Yeah.
getting popular here too, and some of it has to do with the way we're regulating. We've made smoking essentially
Right, you can't be in
illegal
public.
in almost every
It
setting.
made
Yeah.
smoking illegal, but all of a sudden they're coming out with this, and now
Well,
they're going to
except
come out
that
with
they
pot
they
smoking.
left a little back door in there, is that if your business is predominantly around tobacco, it's okay.
So hookah bars can
So
exist
any
because
tobacco
they're-
shops
right.
and places where people are going to buy those cigars, to make them feel powerful and impressive.
Yeah, they have a big cigar, yeah.
How could a
Well,
guy?
that's it.
How could a guy with a cigar not feel powerful, right?
Right, yeah. I think they
Nobody
look
So
wants
are
to be
you
anywhere
against
near 'em.
legalizing marijuana?
Am I against it?
I know, it's your show, but I'm asking.
You're asking me.
Yeah.
Well, I'm afraid of it. I'm afraid of it
it's a-
because I think once you open that door, you can't close it again.
I don't agree, but
Okay.
Yeah,
We're gonna see.
I find
Yeah, we're
yeah,
open-
yeah,
because
once
we're
you
opening the
see,
door.
Well,
Yeah.
but
once you see,
we've got 12 states that are
I know,
going
I
to show
know.
us the way. I hope we're.
Colorado, you know
hope
what they're
we're
doing
paying
with all the
attention.
money,
yeah,
the
well,
tax, the tax.
$60 million. It's not a lot of money.
But you know what they're doing with it? Universal pre-K for every kid in Colorado. You know what that
Really?
means? That means when every kid gets to kindergarten.
until the politician can find a way to bleed that money somewhere else. Look at do you know?
Watch out.
I,
We got to wait to see.
I
think
worked
you're
in
right.
the State House as an intern when they came up with what they called the Rhode Island Lottery.
Yeah.
And that money was supposed to go specifically for
Right, and then it
education.
didn't, yep.
We know what happened with
Yep.
that, right?
Well, but this is just the beginning of
But,
Colorado's law.
This
It's inevitable. It's going to
Yeah.
happen here.
It
I
is
just
gonna
hope-
happen. It
I
is
just
gonna
hope they do it with their eyes open.
exactly.
And they keep an eye on what's going on.
Yeah.
They have to.
Well,
They have
I
to.
hope. They don't have to. believe me.
But it isn't. It isn't. You're going to say that it's not a drug that
I
people
don't-
jump from.
I don't see it as a gateway drug.
No.
But I again, on a college campus, the damage from alcohol,
Right.
the results of alcohol
Right.
use are far greater than
You know.
what we
You know
see
what
with
I have a
marijuana.
problem with?
What?
Kids today. Now we talked about this off camera too. I can do plumbing. I can do electricity. I can do heating. I can do all that stuff. Kids today can't even change a tire. Add pot to the mix.
Will just take them a lot longer.
No, they're just sitting
You're
eating a bag of chips watching the tire.
That's okay. Yeah. But you know what? When they're drunk, they'd pick up the tire and they'd haul it at someone they got pissed off
Yeah, I
at.
know, I
so
know,
it's
I know.
there's not the
But
aggression.
as long as they regulate it and keep it over
Yeah.
21, I got no problem
Pure
with it.
fun.
But it's
Wait,
not gonna
how about the
happen.
money we're spending to keep people incarcerated? It's
Right, I know.
ridiculous.
We
It's
talked about that.
ridiculous.
We did talk
Yeah.
about that. No, you're right. You're right about that.
nuts.
I'm just afraid of it. I'm afraid of because I find people are very weak. I find people are very.
There are going to be people who are going to get into trouble. And there are people getting into trouble with alcohol, and as Toby said, with a lot of other problems now.
Right.
The underlying problems may be universal preschool. Maybe giving all these kids the lessons and the things that you and I got when we were.
But they're not. They're
4
not
and
giving it
5.
because the pendulum shifted all the way over. I mean, when I was a kid, a parent could be a parent. Today, a parent can't be a parent. A parent can't even yell at their kid today without getting in trouble.
But that never worked anyway, Bob.
Yeah.
Yelling
Well-
at kids, it's really
No, well, not yelling, but disciplining them,
training them.
training them.
Yeah, training.
Well, that's part of discipline.
We should
isn't it?
spend a day or two with my daughter-in-law
Yeah.
She's good.
and watch the way she deals with those little grandchildren. of
Yeah.
mine. Unbelievable.
All right. Well,
Well, when the 3-year-old cries, she says, "Are you scared or are you hurt?" I mean, that's getting him right
She's actually
away.
helping them talk about how they
Express
feel.
himself,
Right,
you
right.
know. So
Which is
if
really
he's
equipping
afraid
them
of something, that's
to stay
that's
out
okay.
of trouble.
yeah.
If we could talk about what we were feeling in
That's
an
important.
open way without being afraid of being called weird
Right.
A wimp.
or a wimp
A
wuss. Right, right.
or
Yeah.
mental.
Yeah.
We couldn't, you remember.
I told you I'd whack somebody.
Yeah, you remember. Right. You remember.
All right, I gotta let you go.
All right.
Thanks for spending
Hey.
a good portion of an
Yeah,
hour.
had a great time.
Yeah, it was
Very
great.
good to
Thank
see you
you.
again.
I'll have her back next.
All right. See you next time.
We'll talk.
Stay right there, hanging there.
It happens to me all the time.
We gotta get Black Cadillac Trio to give us another song, and
Okay.
we'll be right back with more of an hour with Bob. Give us a song.
I hear it every day. All the things that get me by. Happy to be late. Never need to be on time. Listen for the law. But I can't seem to understand. It's in my heart. Drag it down. I'm in your hand. Can you feel it? Sit right down. Can you feel it? Well, I like to be away, but I'm stuck inside a dream. Tired of the way. Move my mouth and try to scream. Food is getting cold. I drag my ass right out of bed, scrape that greenish mold from the crust of my white bread. Now can you feel it? Sit right down. Can you feel it? Now I try to figure, but it gets the best of me. I can't seem to stay away. What's behind the scene? All the years of practice and laying down my hand. Kill that certain figure before he tracks me down. I think I'm dead. Can you feel it? Sit right down. Can you feel it? Like to be away, but I'm stuck inside a dream. Tired of the way I move my mouth and try to scream. Can you feel it? Now sit right down. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Sit right down. Can you feel it?
Wow, black Cadillac Trio. Nice job.
Thank you very much.
You can tell real pros, though. I'll tell you, it's nice to have some real pros on the show.
Happy to be here, as always.
Thank you very much. And we're going to see you again, and we're also going to see you on the 3rd of July. I'll be down there.
Yeah, not the black Cadillac Trio, though.
But you'll be there.
That's true.
And this
I
other
gotta
hand
tell you one
will
thing
be
too,
there.
though, Bob.
What's that?
We're doing a couple of gigs that are coming up. May 3rd at the 133 in East Providence.
Yeah.
Okay. And May 4th, we're doing a benefit at the Narrow Center for the Arts. That's benefiting the Mastery School in Fall River,
good.
which is a whole revolutionary way, so they tell us, of educating children. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Speaking of
speaking of-
art, I got 4 artists right
That's
here.
what we like
all
to
right?
see.
I got Cioe, I got Lucas, I got Mark, and I got Alyssa. Right?
You gotta listen.
Hella,
Goodkin.
Goodkin.
Kalasa.
How do you say it?
Kalasa.
Kalasa. That's Polish, right?
Yep.
And
DeCredico.
Di Credico. That's Italian.
It is.
Wow, we got a. Now, you brought some beautiful artwork with you. All of you did, right? I mean, what is this? What genre is that picture over there? Can we
those
get a
are-
shot of that, John?
These are painted in the style of pointillism, and I use syringes to paint.
What
with.
is it? This one right here. What is this?
It's pointillism.
Can I touch it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's got like, it does have points on it. And to sound crude, I got to tell you, it reminds me of the days when I was, not when I was a kid, when my kids were kids, I should say, and they had this bright lights,
Yeah, I said bright light.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's got that feel. It's got they're lifted. It's elevated.
Yeah, it's definitely influenced.
It's pretty cool. Was it really?
Yeah, I think of that sometimes when I'm painting. It reminds
Cut
me
it
of
out.
like
I was really half joking.
Yeah, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I thought.
But
it
that's
out loud,
honestly what it
painting.
reminded me of. It did. It did remind me of that. And how do you do that?
I fill syringes with paint, and then I pluck out one dot at a time.
That's one dot at a time?
Yeah.
Now, do you have, I would have had, in paint by numbers?
No, it's not quite like that. I'll just look at photographs intensely and just start painting.
You just looked at a photograph and you work,
Yep.
you didn't like trace it on the paper, is that on the canvas or?
That's on hardboard. It's called ampersand hardboard. It's wood because there's so much paint that goes on there. If I painted it on canvas, the canvas would eventually rip.
Wow.
Yeah, they're pretty heavy.
Holy cow. Now, Mark, you have something here too. What do you
Yeah,
got
I've
here?
got one painting here.
What is this? This is yours right here.
Yes.
What is this? What is the influence here?
It's the influence.
Well, what genre?
Yeah, well, I guess pop art, op art. But where it's coming from is, when I was doing my master's work, I did a lot of work with cadavers, and seeing the musculature with no skin or subcutaneous tissue, and just seeing it, it was kind of like beef jerky.
Really?
Yeah, I did that at Columbia Presbyterian, and
Wow.
yeah, I had a unique opportunity to do that, and that sort of is to spill into that.
Now, where'd you get that jacket?
Bought it at a RISD flea market sale
Really?
back in 1985.
Now, you like that jacket, don't you?
My
Is it
favorite.
your favorite? It's your favorite jacket, isn't it? I thought so.
Yep.
I thought so. Well, what's going on, folks? What's happening here? You got something going on, don't you? Don't you have an event coming up?
Yeah, we're starting a new art gallery. It's called Fine Art at Chapel View, and that's going to be in Cranston.
I love Chapel View.
Yeah, it's a nice
In fact,
place.
I'm going to an event there very soon. Something's coming up.
Yeah, maybe May
26th, I
10th.
think. Or
May 10th. May 10th.
No, that too. That too. But before that, the 26th of this month or 28th this month, something like that. I got something. And of course, May 10th. Dr. Scully mentioned it to me already.
Right.
The May 10th event. That's right at Chapel View.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, what do we all have to do with it? What is our official artist in residence?
No. Lucas and I are basically the curators.
Right.
But Alyssa helps with curation as well. We're a partnership in this. And
Okay.
what we're doing is we're making a gallery that's artist-run about just helping artists. And also there's charity things that we're doing as well. And that would be Lucas and Alyssa speak about those things. But we're looking to bring the highest quality work imaginable into Rhode Island. There's already a lot of great work here.
Sure. And your influences here, even though you're not from here originally, right? You're from
Right.
Jersey, are you?
Well, New York
New
mostly,
York, New
but
Jersey.
yeah.
But you went to school here. You went to RISD, right?
Right.
And then you left, and you went
Back to New York.
back to New York.
Right. Brooklyn.
And you went to school again down there, right?
Right. At
Went
Pratt
to
Institute.
Right, at the Pratt.
Yeah.
Right? You got your master's there, did you?
Yes.
And you end up back. People do that. They, for some reason, they all say, I'm going to leave Rhode Island, I'm getting the hell out of here. But
Well,
most of the time, they come back.
yeah. Well, there's an old legend at RISD. If you drink from the fountain in front of the Athenaeum, across from the courthouse.
I know exactly
on
what you're
Benefit
talking
Street. If you
about.
drink from the fountain, you're going to wind up back in Providence.
Really?
I never drank from the fountain, though.
But you can stand in front of the phone and have a drink.
Maybe. Through osmosis, I guess.
And Seth MacFarlane graduated from RISD.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's.
I interviewed him on the East Side one night. I ran into him on the East Side when he was still in school, by the way. I didn't know he was going to be as famous as he was, a Family Guy and whatever else. So this is when? No, the 10th, you said.
May 10th is the grand opening from 5 to 9 p.m. And you won't be able to miss it. We're going to have a lot going on. It's going to be a big event.
Yeah.
We're going to have a guest appearance by Big Nazzo Puppets. And there's going to be just hundreds of people there. It's going to be pretty exciting.
Now you got some pictures. Do we have some pictures, John? Are they ready? Because you brought Lucas. Oh, you're coming up now. Lucas, you brought some pictures, or I guess all of you did, didn't you? What do we got here? What is that? Give
Yeah.
us some quick run through.
That's a
Can you
Philip
see it?
Palumbo photograph.
That's Mallory Osterowitz.
Wow. That's a photograph, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's another one of hers. She's
It's
an
an old
artist.
Chevrolet, isn't it? Oh, that's beautiful. What is that?
That's.
Are you
Salt
going to
Lake
tell me
City.
if it's photography or?
Yeah, this is a photo. This is a painting of
The pastel.
Adrian Giuliani.
Now you have a lot of artists, right?
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is
for the first show we have about
Philip Palumbo.
30 different artists.
That's a lot of artists.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, from a wide range of people, from all over the world actually, from as far away as Australia.
Wow.
Yeah.
We have a Mexican, American, but lives in Mexico artist, another RISD alumni, Frank Gardner. And we have, of course, sitting here with us, Cesare DeCredico. And he's going to be showing with us as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah. What's your type of art? Or your
I do mostly painting and drawing, abstract.
Really?
Mixed medium.
how many is left-handed? Because they say
Yeah,
left-handed is more creative. How many Libras here?
No.
They say Libras and left-handers are creative people.
Or good pitchers,
Oh, what?
or good baseball pitchers.
Good baseball pitcher, the left-handers. You know, they're
Softball.
they get good money, and even if they're not that good, because there's such a shortage of left-handers. But left-handed painters, I guess I'll bet you it's better than half of all great artists are left-handers. I'll bet they are.
Probably.
Yeah. So you're gonna have how many photos there?
I'm gonna have about 3 paintings in the
paintings.
show. Yeah.
And Lucas, you got a lot of them, huh?
I have several of the pointillism paintings, and I have a few sculptures and some drawings as
Oh
well.
wow! Now where are you from?
I'm originally from Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, a Pollock from Buffalo.
Yeah, that's right.
And where do you hail from?
I was born and raised in downtown Providence.
Downtown Providence.
Yeah, I've been here my whole life.
Wow.
Grew up in the Julia district. Went to RISD. Father went to RISD. Taught at RISD. Grew up at Federal Hill. Moved out to Cranston and came back to Providence.
Wow, you went a long way, huh?
I know,
You did
yeah.
a lot of traveling, huh?
Oh yeah.
And how about you?
I'm from Foster, Gloucester.
No way.
Yes.
Oh, so we got a lot of local flair here.
Yes.
Except for this one right here.
I'm gonna get
Foster,
shanked.
Gloucester. huh?
Yes. and
Do you remember? Do you remember Salty Brian?
Of course.
Salty Brian did his last major, interview right here. One of the greatest shows I ever did. Salty Brian was here. We had a desk at the time, and he said Tony Petrarca was here that night. And Salty Brian did something that shocked everybody. He says, "You know, Bob, I feel very comfortable with you. It's something I've always wanted to do, never done before." He said, "You mind?" I said, "Go for it. Do whatever you want." He took his prosthetic leg off and put it right on my desk.
Wow.
A lot of people, first of all, didn't even know he had one. And then he went on to explain, and which I didn't know how he got it. He got jumping trains as a kid. He was 11 years old, and he missed, and he fell underneath the train, got his leg off. And he was talking about how terrible it was as a kid, because in his day and age, they didn't have prosthetics like they have now. They had a broom handle with a piece of leather on it. And he'd go to school with that, and obviously they picked on him at school. You know, 11, 12-year-old kids will pick on you. And how he'd go home, and his leg would be bleeding so bad from this thing, you know, pushing up against it, because it wasn't, again, like the legs you have today. And it was a moving interview. Very, very interesting guy too. But Foster, Gloucester, I'm sorry, you made me think of that.
No school today, Foster,
Those schools.
Gloucester.
I'll give us a few more pictures. What do you got? Has he got them? There we go. Oh, this is nice. What is that?
Susan Bennett. This is Frank Gardner.
No, that's a painting.
Yes, that's a painting of a toy car, and that's a toy train by Frank Gardner.
Now, who's Frank Gardner?
He's the artist in Mexico. He went
Oh,
to
yeah.
with me.
Oh, there's a 63 Chevy? Is that what that is,
I'm
John?
not sure what year it is. But yeah.
Looks like
It's
a
Michael.
66, 65 or 66? 65, yeah.
That was a great collage by another one by Michael Oatman, who's one of the really incredible collage artists right now.
Wow. What was he smoking? What is that?
That's mine.
Mark
That's
Goodwin.
yours? All right.
Yeah.
Well, all right. What were you smoking?
Nah, it wasn't good.
There's one of
Oh, yeah,
Cesare's
it's Cesare's.
pieces.
Where's this race?
They
went
just
on.
showed it.
Cesare,
Just
where's
real
yours?
quick.
Oh,
Yep.
Oh, there it
you
is.
go.
What's that?
Oh, that's Trina's. Trina Gaber
Wow. Some good stuff here.
as well.
Now, what is that?
It's a New York City
Oh, it is New York City.
scape. That's Frank Gardner as well.
That was always a winner.
That's another one of mine.
Another one of yours, huh? That's interesting.
Interesting. Same with that.
Now, what is that?
That's pastel. It's quite large. It has is that. They're both the flowers.
Those are flowers, yeah?
Yeah. You know, sort of playing with the idea of sexuality and flowers. Sort of akin to George.
Sexuality and flowers, huh?
Right. Oh, George O'Keeffe.
Okay. Oh. Now, what is that? A mask?
Yes.
That's Carol Scavato. Yeah, masks. That
And like you said, you have some sculptures too, right?
yeah, they're heads of lizard people.
Heads of lizard people.
Yeah, they look human, but they have scales.
Oh,
and
all
some
right.
strange eyes. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I think I've seen that picture before, actually, the last one.
Yeah, you might have. This is
Oh, that's
Gina
cool.
Johnson.
That's very cool. There you
It's
go.
Matt Dean.
Excellent. I love the color. Now, what is that?
That's a lady riding a street lamp. This is
She's riding a street lamp, huh? Who's
yes.
this?
This is Kelly Lee. She's a 17-year-old from that's still in high school. Actually, she's a really great painter, and she just got accepted to a bunch of amazing colleges, including
Wow.
Carnegie Mellon.
Well, I got to tell you, I see the talent downtown Providence. Every year they have that where they do right in the
chalk.
skating rink.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
chalk painting.
Yeah.
I go there every year. I got pictures all in my phone, and I got every picture of every single one that was done there. I got pictures of.
Oh, cool.
I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I
That-
participated in one of the first ones of those.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I'll bet. And that's all done with chalk.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, it's amazing how good some of that stuff is.
Oh, yeah.
A
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
of it is.
Yeah.
There's an awful lot of talent around here.
No, there is.
All right, so we're going to see it on May 10th,
Yep. May 10th at
Five?
Chapel View, 5 to 9 p.m.
5 to 9 p.m. at
Yeah.
Chapel View.
Chapel View in Cranston, Rhode Island, which is on Saconac corner, intersection of Saconac Crossroads and Reservoir Avenue,
Yes,
right? Which is Route 2,
right.
right? What? Go ahead.
One thing that we also
yeah.
wanted to mention was that Carpinato Properties, who owns Chapel View, has
Sure.
been very supportive of this project, and we wanted to thank them for that.
Yep.
And as part of each of these gallery events, we're going to be donating part of the proceeds to various charities, and particularly some of the Carpinato's favorite charities. And we would also like to thank Dr. Scully for
My
his,
boy.
Yes.
Without him,
Dr.
none of this
Stephen
would be
Yeah.
happening.
Scully.
Dr.
Yes.
Stephen Scully. Yes, he's been.
He does a lot for people that
He
people
does.
don't know, and he doesn't
He's a
look
great
for
guy.
recognition. He's a real good guy.
He is.
And
And-
Lucas can tell you something about
Go ahead, you want
the
to?
other thing
Yeah,
we're doing.
some of the charities that we're also working on before the show even starts is we've been helping out with the rainforest. So far we've saved over 100,000 square feet of rainforest and 175,000 square feet of big cat habitat.
Wow.
And these numbers continue to increase on a daily basis. And
Very
this is
important.
something that the gallery's
Very
going to do.
important. I've been to a couple rainforests, one in Brazil and one in, I guess we got to go, huh? One in Brazil and Puerto Rico. I've been there several times, one in Puerto Rico.
nice.
Last word.
I think it's just great to have a gallery like this that's run by artists for artists. You don't see many of those, and it's a great thing.
No, I think it's a great thing. Well, we'll see you on the 10th. And guys, take us out of here. Folks, thank you for spending an hour with Bob.
No one is gonna tell me we're done. The state we're in is in need of changing, and I'm two different worlds. I'm slipping back to where they began, going down day after day. Got to find a way to slip out. Now is the time to get out tonight, trying not to figure out just what it's all about. It's alright to say you feel it. Give me some, just give me one more helping of that healing. Waiting for someone to show me how they did it to me, like broken pictures of how it used to be. They ran to me from a million miles from home, though I know it's gone. They whispered your name, but now they are all long gone, out of their heads, going crazy again, trying not to figure out just what it's all about. It's alright to say you feel it. Give me some, just give me one more helping of that healing. Trying hard to figure out just what it's all about. It's alright to say you feel it. Give me some, just give me one more helping of that healing. Trying hard to figure out just what it's all about. It's alright to say you feel it. Give me some, just give me one more helping of that healing.
There you go.